Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about some fascinating mysteries from history. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. We've all seen the images of the Great Sphinx of Giza, the massive statue in Egypt with the body of a lion and the head of a human. You probably noticed that the Sphinx is missing its nose, and a very popular story suggests the nose was blown off by a cannonball fired by Napoleon Bonaparte's army during his campaign in Egypt in 1798. Is this an actual historical fact caused by military target practice, or was the famous emperor taking the blame for something he didn't do? What do you think? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is enigma. That's E-N-I-G-M-A. An enigma is something or someone that's mysterious, puzzling, or difficult to understand. When we look at history, an enigma isn't just a simple secret. It's a riddle that wraps itself in layers of confusion, making the answer hard to find no matter how closely you look. You might describe a person as an enigma if their personality is hard to read, or you could describe an unsolved crime or a strange artifact as a historical enigma. The word comes from the ancient Greek word enigma, that's A-I-N-I-G-M-A, which essentially means to speak in riddles. It's derived from anos, meaning a fable or a story. In the mid-17th century, the word entered the English language to describe things that were obscure and inexplicable. Later, in the 20th century, the word became famous again as the name of the cipher machine used for coding messages during World War II, which really cemented its connection to secrets and codes. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fascinating mysteries from history. Number 1. The Antikythera mechanism is a 2,000-year-old analog computer vastly ahead of its time that was discovered in a shipwreck. In 1901, divers exploring a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island Antikythera discovered a corroded lump of bronze that turned out to be one of the most mysterious objects in history. Once scientists used X-rays to look inside, they found a complex system of at least 30 precision-cut bronze gears designed to track astronomical positions and eclipses. It was essentially a hand-powered computer used to predict the movement of the planets and the timing of ancient Olympic Games. The existence of this device is a total mystery because technology for this kind of complexity was thought not to exist at that time period. In fact, nothing resembling the gear work of the Antikythera mechanism appears in the historical record again for more than 1,000 years, until the development of mechanical astronomical clocks in Europe. It suggests that the ancient Greeks had engineering knowledge that was somehow lost to history for a millennium. To this day, we still aren't entirely sure who built it or if there were others like it. Number 2. The Voynich Manuscript is a medieval book written in an unknown language filled with drawings of non-existent plants. This handwritten book, carbon dated to the early 15th century, is named after Wilfrid Voynich, a book dealer who purchased it in 1912. The book contains 240 pages of elegant, flowing script written in a language or code that no cryptographer, linguist, or computer scientist has ever been able to decipher. It's filled with colorful illustrations of plants that do not match any known species on Earth, as well as astrological charts and pharmaceutical drawings. During World War II, top codebreakers who cracked complex enemy ciphers tried to read the manuscript in their spare time, but they failed. Some theories suggest it's a guide to medieval medicine, an elaborate hoax created by a genius prankster, or even a diary written by an alien visitor. Despite modern artificial intelligence analyzing the text, the Voynich code remains uncracked. It's one of the world's most mysterious books, sitting quietly in a library at Yale University. Number 3. The dancing plague of 1518 saw hundreds of people in Strasbourg dance uncontrollably for days without stopping. One of the strangest events in recorded history began when a woman named Frau Traffe stepped into the street and began to dance fervently for no apparent reason. She didn't stop for days, and within a week, more than 30 people had joined in this bizarre, non-stop dance marathon. Within a month, the crowd had grown to around 400 dancers who were unable to stop moving despite suffering from exhaustion, heart attacks, and strokes. Physicians at the time ruled out supernatural causes and claimed it was a, quote, natural disease caused by hot blood. They recommended that the victims just needed to dance it out. Authorities even built a wooden stage and hired musicians to keep the beat, thinking it would cure the afflicted, but it only made things worse. Modern historians believe this was likely a case of mass psychogenic illness, also known as mass hysteria, triggered by extreme stress, famine, and religious fear. Other theories point to ergot poisoning having some unexpected side effects, but even 500 years later, we still don't know exactly what caused so many people to dance until they dropped. Number 4. The Copper Scroll, unlike the other Dead Sea Scrolls, was hammered onto copper sheets and lists the hiding spots of a massive fortune. Discovered by archaeologists in 1952 in a cave near Qumran, the scroll was so brittle it had to be carefully cut into strips to be able to read it. Unlike other religious texts found nearby, the Copper Scroll is essentially a treasure map that lists 64 distinct locations where vast quantities of gold and silver were hidden. Experts estimate that if the treasure is real, the amount of gold described would be worth billions of dollars in today's money. The instructions on the scroll are very concrete and specific, and yet still kind of inscrutable, with directions like, quote, in the gutter where the water enters, or under the stairs in the salt pit. Because the landscape has changed so dramatically over the last 2,000 years, no one has been able to match these directions to modern geography. While some historians think the list is a folktale or a metaphor, others believe the treasure, likely the temple treasury of Jerusalem, is still out there, waiting beneath the sands. And our fifth and final fun fact for today: in the 12th century equivalent of the X-Files, 2 children with green skin appeared in a village in England, speaking an unknown language and refusing to eat anything but beans. According to medieval chroniclers, the boy and girl were discovered near a wolf pit in the village of Woolpit, appearing confused and dressed in strange clothing. They were taken in by a local landowner, and while the boy eventually became sickly and passed away, the girl survived, eventually lost her green skin tone, and learned to speak English. She described coming from a place called St. Martin's Land, a subterranean world where the sun never shone and everything was perpetually stuck in a twilight state. While it sounds like a fairy tale, the accounts were written by serious historians of the time who treated it as a real event. Modern medical experts suggest the children may have been suffering from hypochromic anemia, also known as green sickness, caused by poor diet, which would explain why the girl's skin returned to normal color once she started eating proper food. History suggests they may have been Flemish immigrants who were orphaned and lost, their strange language simply being a dialect of Dutch that the English villagers didn't recognize. Now for some news you can use. If you want to create your own mysteries and learn the art of spycraft, you can experiment with the chemistry of invisible ink. The classic method is dipping a cotton swab in lemon juice and writing on paper. When the paper's held over a heat source like a light bulb, the message turns brown. This happens because lemon juice contains carbon compounds that are organic. When you heat them up, the acid weakens the paper fibers and the carbon oxidizes or reacts with oxygen much faster than the rest of the paper. Essentially, the secret message is charring and burning before the rest of the paper does, revealing your secrets through organic chemistry. But if you want to go the high-tech spy route, you can create invisible ink that glows under a UV light or a black light. To do this, simply dip your brush in liquid laundry detergent or tonic water. Laundry detergent contains chemicals called optical brighteners, and tonic water contains a chemical called quinine. Both of these substances are what scientists call fluorescent. Fluorescence is a fascinating phenomenon where a material absorbs light at wavelengths we can't see, like the ultraviolet light, and it shoots it back out at a wavelength we can see. So when you shine your black light on the paper, the invisible ink absorbs that invisible energy and spits it back out as a glowing blue light. This allows you to write secret messages that are completely invisible, even when heated, only revealing themselves to someone with the right piece of technology. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked if Napoleon's troops really knocked the nose off the Sphinx with their cannon. Well, this one's a fallacy. Napoleon may have been guilty of a lot of things, but he's innocent of this crime against history. The sketches of the Sphinx drawn by the Danish explorer Frederick Louis Norden in 1737, decades before Napoleon was even born, showed the Sphinx already missing its nose. Historians now believe the nose was actually removed much earlier, likely in the 14th century, by a Sufi Muslim named Muhammad Saim al-Dar, who was upset that locals were making offerings to the Sphinx to ensure a good harvest. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about these fascinating mysteries from history with me today, and be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.